Right, hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of our Snow White Cottage from the Thomas Kinkade Disney Princess book. Today, as I said in my last video, we're going to be doing the sky, and then we might move on to other bits. We'll just see how that goes really. Now in the Derwent Lightfast set, sorry I'm out of breath, just run upstairs. I got a cup of tea. We have a wild lavender, which I think is quite a good match for the background. Although we have darker and lighter areas in the background here, I thought we would just do a layer of this and just see how it sits really. I'm sort of semi-expecting my doorbell to ring, so we'll see. So you can see it's a sort of purpley grey colour. It isn't quite the same tone. It's not quite as bluey and bright as what's in the picture, but I'm just I think that's it. Would that rest is tree really. I'm just matching it as best I can really with what I've got. Now the smoke is a little bit tricky. I'm wondering whether to I think I'll leave it for now. I was wondering whether to actually just colour over it and then use some white pen. I think I won't colour over it, but I may use white pen later. We'll worry about that a bit later on. You can see this is a fairly reddish colour. It's not the same as the picture, but that's okay. As I say, we're not trying to identically match, just doing what we can. I'm really excited today because I've got a new set of pencils that arrived as a gift for me. A lovely person sent them to me as a thank you, and I want to get on and try them out with you, but this picture needs to be done first because this is higher up on my list of things to do. So I almost feel like I want to rush and get this done so I can look at my new pencils. But on the other hand, we need to take it easy, enjoy the moment, and just relax and have fun with this. Now, got a sort of liney effect going on at the moment. That isn't what I want, but it'll be okay for a bit. We're going to add other layers of colour to our sky as we go. As I say, it's all going to be the same to start with, and then we'll add our other colours. Now I could have just done a little section and left you to do with the rest, but I have had a lot of positive feedback from where I've completed a whole picture, and I also thought that I know that this book a lot of people find quite intimidating. I have to say I did too. Just realised I missed that leaf. I'm just going to colour over it. I found it intimidating too when I first looked at it, but now I've done a picture and I've understood that I'm not going to get it looking identical to the one to the side here, that it doesn't matter, and it's just a bit of fun, and I just feel a little, and this is a bit more simplified than that one. It just makes me feel more confident. Now if you colour over the leaves, it doesn't really matter because they do sort of fade into the background a bit. I don't know if I really want them looking that purpley, but I don't think it's that important. Same as the smoke, because we're going to go over it with white pen eventually. I'm just not sure how white pen stands out on this Derwent, because some pencils, as you may or may not have discovered, when you use a white pen on top of them, it takes up the pigment and goes pink. Or if it's pink pencil, red pencil, or some blues go pink as well in some sets, and I haven't really tried that much with these, so I don't know what to expect really. Now here is where we went wrong and coloured a tree in this space. So I'm just going over it really lightly as our first layer, and hopefully it will just blend in to the purples eventually, and you won't notice that it's any different to the rest. Okay, we're nearly there. And then we'll start working with some different, now I have got a Mars Violet, which to me could do this bottom area a bit darker. So I'm going to carefully look and just go over these areas. I'm starting to do a round and round motion now because I want it to look more like leaves, because that's what our background looks like if we look carefully. Again, this is not the right colour, but it's fine. A little bit in here, and I'm going to start to try to think about where this dark bit comes up to in this original picture and just line that up with that a little bit. So just doing my round and round movements. Going up to here, I think, really. And look, we've got a branch coming up here, and I'm going to be brave and sort of draw that in a bit like that. And like that. There we go. I've never tried that before. I was quite pleased with that. Now here we've got a few patchy bits where there's some darker and lighter areas. So I'm going to try and do that. I don't want it to look too patchy. And this one goes up quite a bit higher, but sort of fades as it goes. We want it rounded, not lines, so that it looks more like a bush. And we also have a tree bit coming up here, which I'm going to draw in. Now I'm confident, a bit more confident anyway. Draw that in and that bit there. And we've got a few darker areas of leaves going on here. Could just be really rough and ready with it though. Just make some lines and marks. There we go. I'm happy with that. Now down here it's really quite dark. And see, I'm not worried that this isn't blue. I'm just going to keep this colour. I'm not going to layer up blues and try and make it look more blue. Now here, look, we've got a green bit. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to draw in a bit of branch and a few squiggles like that. Take that dark bit out here. And you can guess a little bit and just put light and dark areas in, wherever you like really. And I think there's a bit more up here behind these leaves. And there are a few leaf shapes. Maybe I can draw a few in. I'm a bit more confident. There we go. Now, in here we've got quite a dark area again. And then it sort of gets a bit lighter and a few odd bits like this. Where are we? See, these trees are faded back really in the original picture, but I've done them a bit dark. And we've got quite a bit of dark leaf going on up here. Again, I'm just going to colour over that. Okay, and dark here. Now we've actually got a tree coming here through here. I'm going to just draw in like that, and there's a thin bit of branch as well. It's all quite dark around this chimney. Chimneys are actually quite a pretty bright colour, so they'll stand out. We've got another tree here which isn't drawn in, so I'm just going to vaguely put it in. Put in some more dark bits around here. Like that. Now here we have actually quite a few branches and things. I'm just going to draw a few bits in like that. Now I cannot draw, so this is just, now when artists say to me, oh, drawing is just line making, I was like, yeah, but that is literally a line. So that's what line making is. It isn't drawing a intricate picture like this, it's just a few vague bits of lines. And that's, there we go. Got a tree coming up here actually. I'm maybe being a bit vague in what I'm colouring. Now here's quite dark. This is where we coloured in our brown by mistake. Here is also quite dark. Don't make it so dark that the that this branch doesn't show up though. So you can just roughly fill in bits and bobs of colour. And down here is quite dark. I'm just going to put a dark layer, and then we're sort of done. Now we can mess around with that more and more and more, but I think what I'm going to do is do the smoke. I'm looking for a colour, here it is. I'm going to do the smoke in mid ultramarine to start with. So I've got a bit of bluey colour. And then I'm going to try something with my white. It will be an experiment. Now if you haven't got a white pen, you might have wanted to have just left that white or use a white pencil. We probably will use a white pencil first actually. We've got a white, and I'm just going to use it on top, sort of smudge it and splodge it, particularly on those black lines. We want those black lines to disappear, so we'll white over those a bit if we can. Now what I want to do with my white pen is to create a smoky look. Now how do we do that? Well, we need to splodge it while it's wet. I'm going to use one of these. You can use your finger, but I'm not going to. Posca pen, I wouldn't recommend sticking your finger into paint unless you're perfectly happy that it's okay. It helps if the paint comes out. Come on pen, I'm going to give it a shake again. That's better, I think. So get some paint down on there. Cover those black lines. Actually this is quite light, it's fine. I'm not going to splodge it with my Q-tip or whatever it is. It's a makeup thing, because this looks light enough for me. I thought it might come out in quite a thick white layer. It's taking up some of the pigment from underneath, and actually that's alright because it's making it look a bit less white. I didn't want it to just stand out and look really, really white. That isn't how it looks in the picture. This doesn't look anything like how it looks in the picture. As I said, it's drawn differently anyway, so that makes a difference. Just cover it over. I'm just trying to cover the black lines really, and then fill in the gaps as best I can. There we go. It's got a bit of smoke going on, so we're not using that. I'm just going to put that away, and then we can, let's see, yeah. Now that background is quite pale compared with the picture. We could add a layer of darker blue over the bottom to sort of make it a little bit darker. I'm wondering whether to do that. Just looking at the blues that I've got going on, maybe a sort of ultramarine or something. Or purpley blue, blue violet. Maybe the blue violet. Let's try a little bit of that. Just in a few areas, just to darken it up a little bit. That looks a lot more like the colour in the picture, I think. Try and avoid that Posca. Now it might be that you would prefer it slightly bluier, but I thought it would blend in with the pinky colour that we've got already. Now I'm just looking and there are vague bits up here, but most of that's pink. Now you can use a blender to smush it a bit more, particularly if you want to sort of push the trees back. You could smush the edge of the tree into the edge of this background, but I think it will be okay. But we'll see what happens at the end when I'm done. See, I'm being a bit rough and ready. I think you need to have some confidence to do that. But it comes, and it comes from two things. Firstly, I know that if I mess up a page of my book, it's not the end of the world. I can get another one, or you know, I can probably save it with an eraser anyway. And yeah, it's just practice, knowing what to expect really when you try something out. You know, when you've coloured every day for 9 years, whatever it is, you sort of get used to knowing what to expect a little bit. Sorry, I need to wipe my nose. Ooh. Right. So I'm going to draw in these slightly darker bits first. So really this layer, you could have left it with the original layer. I've only put it in to match the colour a bit better. I don't think it's really completely necessary. And I am going to use a blender to just bring it together. My blender's dirty, you have to bear with me. I'm just going to scribble it on a rough piece of paper. Now use the Derwent blender if you're blending Derwents. It works very well. Not surprisingly, I actually need to sharpen it. I'm using my rotary sharpener. So it's very noisy, but it gives us a very nice point. And you'll see, oops, too much of a point, how it will just smush it with ease. I need to be careful, but I don't want to smush those defined lines that I've put in. But the Derwent, just going to smush that a little bit. The Derwent blender tends to change the colour, I find, of my polychromos if I use it for those. But it works absolutely a treat on the Lightfast, really brilliantly. You can see that it's just helping to smudge it all around, make it look a little bit more like a blurred background rather than a defined picture. And actually putting that darker colour in has made the smoke stand out a bit more too, which is good. There we go. I am happy with that. And you can see it looks still a slightly paler version of that, but you know, that's fine with me. And what I'm going to do is this tree here. Now I can see here it's got dark and light green. Now I'm going to start with the slightly lighter green and then work to darker. That is how I'm used to, what I'm used to doing. Now I'm trying to work out, like, this is the main part of the tree, but that is, I can't work out if that bit there is tree or background, and the same here is bushes, and then we go to flowers. So what I'm going to do is do the whole thing with the same colour background. I can't with the flowers. I leave the bits that the flowers are and do the rest with the same background. Then we're going to slightly change it. But I'm going to use the foliage colour. I really like it. I haven't got that sort of sagey green colour that I think that is. I'm going to do small circular movements so that it looks like leaves, because some of this will be my final layer of colour potentially. I might need a second layer, but these are quite good. You can sometimes just get away with one layer. We'll see how it goes. Now, because it's got this line around the edge, we can't make it look too loose. But it's fine, it's just the way it is. As I say, it's not going to look exactly like the other picture. And as long as we keep remembering that, it makes it a lot easier, I think. So just a round and round movement. It's also across a bit, and that works well too if you look at the picture. I think that should have been background, but it's now going to be green bush. And the same here. I'm going to do it all green, and then we'll work out where to put darker colours, because some of it's really, really dark, isn't it? And we can just layer up our colours to get some darker shades. Now I'm going to take that down to here. Those two I'm going to leave because they've got flowers on. Although those flowers are white, so I could potentially apply those with a pen. The other ones are red, so I'd sort of draw the flowers in first maybe and then colour around them. So we'll leave that for a minute. So there's our first layer. Okay, now I'm going to use a darker layer. I have a Seaweed. I think we used that up here, but anyway, that's okay. So we have Seaweed. We're going to mark in some of the darker areas. Now, this you see is just a big old bush, and you see here it's got tree trunk shining through and all sorts. We're just going to put in some darker areas like this. Oops, there goes my tip. So it doesn't look like it's all the same colour. I sort of thought about trying to copy the pattern that it's there, which is why I've got some sort of cross bits, but I'm really just doing it quite vaguely, seeing what happens. There's some darker areas like this, which is sort of sitting behind. And a bit darker along the edge of the cottage too, I'm thinking. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Oh. Oh. Right. Sorry. I'll put some darker bits here. Actually thinking if we put this darker colour over the line, that might help to fade it like it did with the tree. It's not really working as well as it did with the tree though, to disappear the line. Doing that bit darker, and this bit in here, thinking they're probably a little bit behind the rest. And now this bit here is just really dark, so I'm just going to do the whole bit in this darker colour. There's a tiny light splodge in it there. Nope, there isn't. It's a little mark on the paper. So that was a bit of pencil sharpening. Oh, that's so funny. Right, there's a darker bit here and here. Actually, that might, yeah, that's our flowers. So we'll just make this slightly lighter. There we go. Okay, that's going to be that for that one. Now this side we have a very similar thing going on, so we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to start with the foliage, mark out all of the tree. I really like this colour. It's not my shortest green, but I sort of don't always use it because I like it. But then I think, maybe I should be using the colours I like. So it's a bit tricky, isn't it? Then you can see these bits need to be darker. But we also need to put in some dark bits here and there. Like that. This one is looking better because the foliage colour is a bit darker. I think I'm going to go back into the other one and make the foliage colour a little bit darker. I'm making that bit really dark though. So then taking my foliage again and just going all the way over this. It might look very different to the picture, but hey. Okay. I coloured over the cottage then, didn't I? Right. Next, how are we doing for time? We've got half an hour. I'm going to show you how I do the flowers on here and here. Now, these flowers are white, so it's quite difficult, but well, they're sort of pinky purpley white. So what I'm going to do is grab this colour. This is it's called Flesh Pink. It's a very light pink, and draw my flowers in because they're not here. And we'll see if this works. I'm just making dots really. And I'm pushing quite hard. I want to re-indent the paper a little bit. It's a bit naughty. But there's those. Now these other ones here are red. I think I quite fancy using this colour. This is the cherry red. It's quite a nice red. And again, we're going to do some just dots around for our flowers. Now, as I said, they're not drawn on, so you could guess. Do what you think looks nice. I'm going to make them quite a lot. Now in our picture there's a path between there, but there isn't in this drawing, so there isn't one. Right, so that's that. I put that pink away, I need to keep it out for a minute. Then we're going to do the green. Now it's quite a dark green actually. I think we'll use actually, the green we use the Seaweed. We use the Seaweed and then it'll sort of tone in. Now the idea is to colour really gently and the white might still show where we slightly indented. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't think it's worked really very well. Whereas with the red we can colour over the top and it will still show up because it's red. I'm not very keen on that dark colour. I'm going to grab some foliage and go over the top of it. And actually look, you can see dark and lighter areas now here. Now if that doesn't stand out enough for you, you can grab your red again and go back over and just darken up those flowers. Now it's definitely a lot darker at the bottom. This is the Seaweed. I'm going to make it a bit darker here and the same there. But those flowers I'm just going to dot on with a bit more white. This is some Posca. Like that. Did it quick, rough and ready. I don't want it to jump out of the page too much. Okay. Now over here we've got a couple of plants as well. We've got blue and a sort of orange and red. So the blue, I'm thinking I'll use this blue, the mid Ultramarine, and actually it looks like there's quite a lot of blue and not much green in this, like that. And I am going to use, what should I use? Quite a dark green. That one looks quite good. This is the Spruce Green. I'm going to use that. Under here and then just in those gaps. Just sort of doing it quite roughly. So we can see a lot of blue. Now this one, whoops. This one is orangey, peachy orangey. We don't have, and then a red. I think we might just go for an orangey red for it all rather than doing two different colours. It'll be a little bit easier. So we use our Scarlet and we'll do dots like we did before, because these two bushes are sort of joined together in our version, so I don't think it's cheating to make them all the same colour. Like that, and then again we'll use the Spruce Green to finish that off. Whoop. I pressed way too hard. Gosh, I just wondered then whether I'd written down the pencils I'd used for the first bit of this video. I'm never going to remember, but I did. So I was lucky. I don't know why. I've been a bit distracted because my neighbour came to the door to talk about the leaking water situation, which is all in hand. So that's good. And actually, one of my neighbours, the one who has the holiday house visited, said it was nothing to do with her, but she was really pleased that I called her because she knows that I'm keeping an eye on her house and it makes her feel happy. So that was nice. Right, what are we doing for time? I'm going to do the grass. I feel like doing the grass. Now, it's quite pale, but I don't have that colour. Oops, I'm trying to grab a pencil while not looking. It's not good. I'm going to use the grass green, and I'm going to do a whole layer of grass green, and then after that use some other colours to like, if you do little circles and press with different pressure as you go, you get different, slightly different colours anyway. So it looks like it's textured. So press hard and then light, hard and then light. And you get a sort of textury look, which is quite useful. I'm trying to work out, there's a path. Okay, so this is the path, and what's that? That's just a bit of dark bush. I'm going to do it in the grass at the minute, and when we come through and put darker and lighter areas, we can decide what to do with that. So you can see there we're getting a bit of a texture. These are bits of grass as well, I think. They don't look like rocks in the picture. So I'll try and cover over all the white. I'm a bit confused by that, but I'm just gonna, this is all grass. So you can do some lines to make it look more grassy, and then these sort of different texture areas. I don't know why I'm doing this darker. I think that might be lighter because it's in front, but never mind. It's done now. There we go. This is a bit of grass as well. It's quite vibrant, isn't it, for this picture that's quite dark, but that's okay. Now where have we got this bit of grass here? This bit seems a bit lighter, my picture, so I'm just going to try and press a little bit lighter, but I still want to try and add some sort of texture to it by pressing lighter and darker. If you do a sort of spiky movement, you get the look of grass a little bit. I'm just experimenting here. I've not done this ever before like this, but I think it sort of seems to work, so I'm just going with it. I mean, as I say, we have some darker and lighter patches of grass, but we can deal with those with a slightly different colour after. Oh, got a little squirrel. And we've got these tree trunks to do as well. We'll probably do them in a very similar way to how we did the trees. Where's the grass go? It goes all around the squirrel. Oh, he's a cutie. I like squirrels. My sister used to really like them when we were little. She used to have a toy one. See the squirrel, if you look at the squirrel in this picture, it's sitting very near the back of the tree stump. In this picture it's sitting further in. See, I assumed that these pictures were a tracing of the original, but they're not. Like the, I did one, an Aladdin one, you may have seen it, I did post it on my Facebook quite a while ago actually. And maybe, I think I put it on Instagram as well. And he's, Aladdin is holding Princess Jasmine up in the air, and her legs are in a very different position in the picture against the, there's some mud there. Her legs are in a very different position against the bridge in the picture than they are in the sort of painting, and so the bridge, a bit of the bridge has been drawn in that actually doesn't exist, so you really have to guess. And that's what gave me confidence, to be honest, with doing these pages. I'm just trying to figure out, we've got a lot of rocks going on here. I think we go up to here with our grass, so we'll go in here, but we have this sort of muddy bit. Let's just draw in there. I don't know where that ends. It's just a, let's just leave it there like that. Actually, I'm not going to do it. I don't like it. I'm going to do it as grass. Artistic license. Sorry Thomas Kinkade, but I think it looks fine in his version, but I think if I try and do it, it will look a bit weird. That was my the basis for my decision making. Ooh, my pencils are all in my way. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can't remember how long it took me to do the other one of these that I did, but I think we're coming along quite well. I think this series is going to be disturbed by a planner page, but I think that'll be alright, because we have to do our Monday planner page, get our Johanna Basford planners done. Right, that's the grass on that side, and we've got grass on this side. So we've got it all at the base of the tree here, and through the bridge. Oh, and this sort of grass through the bridge. Don't know what that line is. If these lines annoy you, you can go over them with white pen and then try and colour over them. Let's try it, I'll show you. So this is my white pen. I'm just going to go over it. Oh, that's really wet. I'm just going to spread that a bit. It's too wet. Okay, and we'll let that dry. Ugh, I'm going to blot it. I need to blot it. Hang on. Scrap of paper. Blot it for a bit. There we go. A piece of cotton wool would have probably been better. Anyway, we're going to come back to that in a minute. Don't use such a big splodge as I did, if you can. Okay, we need to figure out where the path is, because there's a path coming here. I think this bit the grass and that bit's the path. That'll be good, so we can just sort of carry that tree root down to make it into path. Now I know I'm not so zoomed in as I often am. See here, look, our bridge, here's our middle piece, there's the end piece, and the path goes in this photo there, out there. So this is the path, isn't it? So that bit is a bit of grass, but there's a bit of path there in there, but it isn't in this one. So we're just going to use the simplistic drawing because it's easier to make all this grass. And really all this is grass too. I guess it isn't a proper path, it's just a bit worn because this is all grass too. I'm not sure about that side. No, that's a bit of path, that's a bit of path. This bit's grass. I'm going to have to make that a lot darker. This bit's grass. Gosh, someone's front door is loud. But this bit becomes mud just in front of the house. Maybe I've done that wrong, because that surely, yeah, I'm not sure. This bit I'm going to do is grass. That's where it gets a little bit tricky, working out what's what. But do our best. Now down here where we were white, we need to go over that in green. And that's covered fairly well. Sometimes white pen doesn't cover, but that's covered fairly well in this bit of grass. trying to decide what to tackle in the next video. I think the cottage is going to be quite tricky, but we're going to do it in a simplistic way. Make it a little bit easier, I think. So rather than doing all of the bricks different colours, because they're all quite different colours, we'll probably do them all the same. Keep it a bit easier. Right, so we need a bit more texture in our grass. So I'm going to use, that was grass green 70%. We're going to use grass green for this bit. So as I said, this bit needed to definitely be darker. There, in fact that's probably actually needs a bit of seaweed over it as well. To really just, it's quite in the shadows. Right, back to our grass green. Oops, another sharp pencil. This one's getting so small it's not going to fit in my sharpener soon. I'm just basically going back over and trying to add some dark and light areas, hopefully without breaking my pencil so far that it was a waste of time sharpening. Oh, I am bad, aren't I? Right, so I think a bit dark at the bottom. Like that. Makes it look a little bit more like it's growing in an upwards direction, I think. I'm not actually using the picture, I haven't looked at it. I can see that there are darker and lighter areas due to the sun, and actually I think that's a bit complex. And because we can't see what trees are directly above, I don't think it matters. It's darker and lighter, to be honest. You can see that line is almost completely disappeared now, so you could do that on the other lines if you want to, but I am not going to. It takes up so much time doing the covering the lines, and it will look much more like the original if those black lines aren't there, but as I say, it takes a lot of time. I don't mind seeing the lines. I'm not trying to pretend that this isn't a colouring in picture from a line drawing. I'm fine with that. I'm trying to make it look a bit liney, particularly here, where we're quite close to the grass here, so we would see it a bit more. If you want to make it look textured like we did up here with little splodgy bits, then you need a flatter bit. If you want to make lines, you need a sharper bit. So I'm really just fiddling around, just getting it so that it doesn't all look the same. There we go. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. We've been going on for quite some time, and yeah, I think we might start the cottage next time, so that'll be fun. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day and happy colouring.